2, testing 1, 2. You should be live. That was an accident. But, yeah. Any other way to start a stream that no one watches. I am back once again. I took another week off. Hopefully that doesn't become a trend of week on, week off. Because I got ill yet again. It sucked yet again. And but I'm back again. And this time we return to the backrooms. Let's switch scenes here. Maybe get some other music going. I have this really dumb idea I want to do, and that is listen to the fucking Super Ghostbusters entire album. I kind of just want to listen to it while working. But if I pull up the map here and increase last stream, not last week, but last stream, we did all of this. Doesn't look like much, but Jesus Christ, this was a pain because we also had to shrink all this down as well. Or shrink this area specifically. This area doesn't shrink as much, but this definitely. So I believe I talked about working on this area, but I think the last time I checked, this area is like heavily connected. So if I start on this, it's just going to fucking span to the other side of the map. But you know what? Let's try it. So we'll start down there. But first, let's put on some goofy ass fucking music. I don't think you guys can hear that, but it's probably really quiet, but I don't know why, I just wanted to listen to it. I saw it in my recommended, I'm like look there. What the fuck? Yeah! I think where the fuck am I? Did I even activate my... There we go. Oh, I know where this is. We're here, so if I go this way. No. Where am I? Yeah. I have a... No, I'm down here. I sneak in the basement. It is my home now, but you never find out. Because I am sneaky, I am the rat man. I go up at night and eat your cheese. I still find it funny how fucking Varg Skeletor Joel, he made this because his internet was out for like a day. What was that noise? Did any of you guys hear a bell? Or is that just me? Oh no, murder. Alright. This should be easy to start. Died. You money. Oh, the Ghostbusters. Hey, my grandma has died. She owe me money. Extract soul, please. And they tell you, who the fuck is this? Man, you dumbass. Okay, I know where I am, so. Give me your money. Feel bad, and they'll leave, and you'll cry. Fuck. Yeah. This wall is 2 pixels. And that made me angry. So I called the Ghostbusters. Let's do it, man. You get Nell has a ghost in them. Ow. And get down to McDonald and use the gun. Well, this is right. It's more like that. Fuck! The donkeys! I put fucking ghost in burger. I now live Kentucky Fried Man. I am not original. 2. Full of ghosts. Okay, I can move that down by a pixel because it seems. There we go. What is this fucking? I think I got off topic. I think I was gonna say something about how I listened to this while running around VRChat and just giggling like a dumbass. And this was public worlds, so these were public worlds with my mic just hot, with a hot mic, and people were like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" And I would just be like, "Super Ghostbusters." I think I got one person who knew what it was to like just dance along because I was like doing the orange justice while doing this shit. Okay. This probably is 2, but I'm gonna say it's 3 because it seems like we got a lot of space. Maybe I should just make it 2 just in case. My boot to control me. Okay. No one's probably in here. I don't think anyone's in here. But, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah. Fuck. Hang on. Oh. My brain is gone. What was I gonna say? It was either this or creepypasta readings, because I remember. Oh, that's not good. If anyone's wondering what happened on the other side of the screen, I think I just saw an ethereal being pop up in my chair. That or it blinked too fast. eBay.gov. And I smoke. Also, I put these on the right spot. They're supposed to be up here. Superpower. Yeah. But you may also know me as that homeless heroin addict. I need to go now, bye. Radio. I was once hungry, so I went down to the local spaghetti shop. I told him I want a big bowl of spaghetti. But I told him I don't want regular spaghetti. I want spooky spaghetti. And I told him make it quick. Make it quick. He punched me in the fucking face. I screamed for God as he killed me. Never order spooky spaghetti. Okay. This is already off. This is supposed to actually line up. But because we have so much goddamn room and how this was even a lot of room, I think we should be fine for now. What the fuck is going on? Wow. Oh, it is just like that. Let's go in the city. I hold up a sign that says ghosts are shitty. And to protest them, I shit my pants. Everybody confused, me too, so I fall asleep. I gotta check. It seems like it's supposed to be way down here. If there's something strange in your neighborhood, who you gonna call? Who you gonna call? Well, I found the wall, so that could either be way down here or just here. Unless... I'm gonna say because I have so much room, I'm just gonna put it down here. Cereal in my fucking fridge. Like, I get pissed. Oh, I made back here. This song has nothing to do with Ghostbusters. With a nutrient rich, right-click with food produced by the mammal glands of mammals. It is the primary source of nutrition for infant mammals, including humans, who are breastfed before they are able to digest other types of food. Early lactation milk contains cholesterol. Milk is good for your body. You see, milk has calcium. It makes your skeleton strong and healthy. Oh no, the skeleton coming out. Ah! I live. Okay, that's about... Oh god, why is it like that? Whatever. What's there? I feel like I should just turn this up. Actually, it being quieter than me is actually kind of funnier. I think this is funny. Invisible man slipping in your bed. He nutted in the bed. The ghost nutted. And now it's time for you to nut to this song. Otherworldly fucking noises. the Holy Ghostbusters. I call the Ghostbusters on the telephone. I tell them there is a problem. They tell me what is it now? No. I tell them that my toilet is clogged. They tell me, why are you calling me about that? I tell them there is too much ectoplasm in the toilet pipes. They say, if you call this number one more time, we will shove the PKA meter in your bumhole. I say, okay. How much will that cost? And then they come over and break my fucking legs. Who is it? Hey, son of a bitch! No, it was you! No, it was only a prank! Fuck, I don't think I did this right. realized this part is very...
I play drums so good that I bring back the dead. Oh, what's that? You want
Might be a bit too far.
Well, let me do a drum solo to bring it back. Yeah! Oh my god! It's working! It's working! Let's claim my come back to life! Oh my god, she doesn't have any skin! No refunds! I poisoned. They wrote
Where's
the
your supply?
Now everyone dead. Whoops. Something strange in your neighborhood. Ooh, you're cold and ghost buster. You smell that? It smells good. Cook a ghost on the grill. What the fuck? You thought this was gonna be a regular edition of the song? The joke's on you. You think the last song would be good, but ha ha. There is something strange in your neighborhood. Who you gonna call?
I'll move it over just by one. Maybe.
If there is something weird, and it don't look good,
Or just wait and see what happens.
who the fuck are you gonna call? The
I'm gonna look up here.
Ghostbusters.
Ah, I'm gonna go look up there.
Ain't afraid of no ghost.
Is this sucking the life out of me? Probably.
Ain't afraid of no ghost. Ray Parker Jr., please don't sue me.
Oh, I know what this fucking is. Oh my god. This reminds me of all the really horrible fucking edits of metal songs I used to listen to. And make them just say the most vile shit. It's the worst stuff.
Bill Murray. And then there's Ernie Hudson, Dan Aykroyd, and Harold Ramis. They were the Ghostbusters, but now they are no longer busting ghosts. They are now doing porno. Bill Murray. He is in the porno. He is screwing the ghost. And sometimes he fart. It's a movie.
What the fuck are you talking about?
If it's not the strange,
Well, that woke me up for like a second, and I wish it kept going like this.
Watch the fuck out! It's me! I wanna bust a ghost! Yahoo! Ghostbusters.
That's what I'm hearing.
In 1986.
Radio.
It was so exciting But you know what else is really exciting? When you fart into the microphone. Here I go. Woo! This album needs to end already. Bye.
It does. Where should I put this? I'll put this over here. Fuck, you can throw that far. I can push this down. Fun fact, Joel is actually, Joel is actually an artist. He can actually play guitar, not just fun MIDI.
Hello, are you having a funeral next week? Birthday? Whatever the case, call me and I'll spice things up. I will entertain with my guitar and I'll do funny tricks. Call me, low prices, Joel at fuckyourself.com. Bye.
Wish I could look through the map here. I could if I had my other. If I had VR, I could stick my head through there.
Pick up the phone. Pick up the phone, dumbass. Hey, it's something important. I bet it's something important. Go pick up the phone. Go on. Go on, pick up the phone. Do it.
Evil.
You smell of poo-poo pee-pee. Come on, Ray, I want to sing the song. Come on. Come on. Piece of shit, come on. Bought this Fisher Price keyboard for like $2.
Fisher Price keyboard.
Do it! Do it! Come on! Oh no, it's broken. Oh.
Okay, that's that's it. Now what to listen to? Half-Life original soundtrack. Half-Life soundtrack now scares me after how much bullshit I've got copyright claimed for, even though Valve doesn't care. It's just one fucking guy. Half-Life radio soundtrack. Nuclear Mission Jam. No, that's not what I'm looking for. Here we go. Oh yeah, that's good. That's a good shit. Sadly, it's only a minute, so I'll have to change it again. I feel like pushing this back, at least just by one, even though it doesn't make any sense. Okay, music. You know what? I don't think the instrumental. I don't think the instrumental got me copyrighted. I don't think any of the COD Zombies songs. I don't think any of the COD Zombies songs will cause any problems because I watch a lot of videos and none of them seem copyrighted. You never fucking know. I feel like I should like shrink this. I don't think it'll be that big of a problem to actually move this down because I would just increase this room, which isn't that big of a problem. I just gotta go back and check like how big are the walls there, and then just over. Oh yeah, this can easily be shrunk down. This is really fucking big. Let's quickly go to the end. Yeah, that's 2, 3, 4. That's like really fucking large here. Kill them all, I'll make them suffer. Now and death, bring me life. Sorry. Oh yeah, that's the fucking radio. I was wondering what that noise was. Coming home now. Coming home now. I'm coming home now. I'm coming home now. Now I do know why this is like that, because I would have to fuck with a lot of things, such as all this, and I don't want to fuck with all this today, because this, Jesus Christ, this took me what, like 3 separate streams to do? Oh, when we listened to one, we might as well listen to more. Good shit. Okay, that's shrunk down, so now I gotta go back and just move everything. Also, it's kind of impossible because this has to be 3 when I would actually make it 2 if I follow like my code now, because beforehand it was way too big. But yeah, I would definitely say it would be 2, but it wouldn't make any sense because then I can put in the other parts, and all of these are just kind of scuffed because of this. You gotta have to push all this up. me just increase it. How big is this room? How big should this room be anyways? I say 5, but it's like, that's way more than 5. Whatever. Magic. I do feel like I'm going to run into a problem somewhere along the lines here. Because if this has to line up with this, then it'll also have to line up with all of this because it's all connected. Like I said, these are all stuffed. Because I put the thing there, so this would be this long hallway. I don't know why. Why did I do that? Hang on. Where am I? Okay, that's where I am, right there. Why is it like that? It should be up here. Hang on. Or, no, wait. That is that. And move over, yeah. Yeah, that is all the way down there. That's what I'm looking at. And then just kind of making it fucking... I find it interesting that that will be down there. I doubt like moving 3 pixels would fix that either. Gotta find more music. Could just keep moving with this. Just to have it here at least. I'm confusing myself here. There's no need to. Because this should be all the way down here, but I just can't do that. But I can move this over. I don't know why I did like that. It should be like way down here, like that. Hey, wait a minute. What's this? Am I just confusing myself again? I think so. I guess to help fix, I can push this up at least. Because if that's connected, then kind of gives it a little bit of an illusion. This is kind of coming together a bit more. A little bit, at least. Just a little bit. This piece seems like really big for some reason. Even though it makes sense. Well, actually this should be just one. I could do that. And then just physically grab that. Push it up. I'm definitely a bit too quiet for this stream, but that's fine. No one's watching anyways. Let's see. Should we go find some creepypasta readings? I want to. I want something to comment on while I work. Nothing new though. Only old ones. Only old ones. Oh, let's look up an Abandoned by Disney reading. That's a classic. Abandoned by Disney creepypasta. For the creepypasta files. Okay, someone must have read it. Bad creepypasta. Bad creepypasta. Oh, I remember those guys. Someone made some sort of. What is this? I don't know, and I don't want to click on it. Did nobody, did nobody, did no one read, The Abandoned by Disney? Oh, here we go. Here's an old one. 8 years ago by That
Some of
Creepy
you may
Reading.
have heard that the Disney Corporation is responsible for a real
God,
live ghost town.
God, in the little
Disney
bottom
built
you can
the
see
Treasure
the
Island
the
Resort in
yellow
Pecos
subscribe
Bay,
button.
Bahamas.
Fuck, this is old.
Didn't start off as a ghost town. Disney cruise ships would actually stop at the resort and leave tourists to relax in luxury.
Can't hear it that well,
This
but
is a
that's
fact.
fine.
You can look it up yourselves.
Or should I
Disney
turn it up?
blew $30
I'll turn it up by
million
1.
on the place. Yes, 30 million.
There we go.
Then they abandoned it. Disney blames this on the shallow waters, too shallow for their ships to safely operate. And there was even a blame on the cast of workers, saying that since they were from the Bahamas, they were too lazy to work a regular schedule.
Oh,
That's
that
where
is
the actual nature of our
that
story
is
ends.
very
It
racist.
wasn't because of sand, and
I wasn't expecting
obviously
racism
it
in my
wasn't because
creepypasta.
foreigners are lazy.
The fuck?
Both are convenient excuses, however. No, I sincerely doubt those reasons were legitimate. Why don't I buy the official story? Because of Mowgli's palace. Near the beach side of Emerald Isle in North California, Disney began the construction of Mowgli's palace in the late 1990s. The concept was a jungle-themed resort with a large, you guessed it, palace in the center of the whole thing.
Hmm.
If you're unfamiliar with the character Mowgli, then you might remember the story, the Jungle Book. If you haven't seen it
Jungle
anywhere
Book.
else, then you know it's a Disney's cartoon from decades past. Mowgli is an abandoned child in the jungle, essentially raised by animals and simultaneously threatened and pursued by other animals. Mowgli's palace was controversial.
Funnily
from the
enough, I'm supposed to be
underground
pushing
from the
this
start.
down, but at the same
Disney
time, I
bought up a
kind
ton
of
of
can't do
high-priced
anything
land
with
for
it.
the project, and that was actually a
I
scandal
could
surrounding
do,
some of the purchases. The local government claimed eminent domain on people's homes, then turned it around and sold properties to Disney. At one point,
Could do
a
this.
home had just been constructed and was immediately condemned with little to no explanation. The land grabbed by the government was
Hang on.
supposedly for some fictional highway
Here we
project,
go.
knowing full well what was going on. Some people even started calling it Mickey's Highway. Then there was a concept art. A group of stuffed shirts from Disney Co. actually held a city meeting, and they intended to sell everyone on how ludicrous the project was going to be for everyone. When they showed them the concept art, a gigantic Indian palace surrounded by jungle, staffed with men and women in loincloths and tribal gear, well, suffice to say, everyone flipped their shit. We're talking about a large Indian palace, jungle, and loincloths, not only in the center of a relatively wealthy area, but a also somewhat xenophobic area in the southern USA.
Why are we
Was
talking about
a
race?
questionable mix from that point of
Why is
view.
there racism in my Mickey
One
Mouse
member of the
creepypasta?
crowd tried to storm the
What the
stage,
fuck?
but he was quickly subdued by
I don't
security
remember
after
it being
he
this
managed to break
bad.
one of the presentation boards over
Jesus.
his knee. Disney took that community and essentially broke it over its knee as well. The houses were razed, the land was cleared, and there wasn't a damn thing anyone could do or say about it. The local TV and newspapers were against it from the beginning, but some sort of insane connection between Disney Media's holdings and the local venues came into play,
Okay.
and their opinion
I
turned
can't tell if there's
right.
I can't tell if there's
So,
background music
anyway,
from the fucking
Treasure Island in the
creepypasta reading,
Bahamas,
or if
Disney
that's
sucked
in the
those
actual
millions
game.
and then just split.
I
The
can't
same thing
tell,
happened with Mowgli's
but
palace. Construction was
carry
complete.
on.
Visitors actually stayed at the resort. The surrounding
God damn it! Now I
communities
want to listen to
floated
Carry On, but
with traffic
that might
and
be
the
a
usual
song that'll get me into
annoyances
shit.
associated with the influx of irate tourists. Then it all just stopped. Disney shut it down and nobody knew what the hell to think. But they're pretty happy about it. Disney's
2,
losses were pretty hilarious and wonderful to the large group of
2.
folk who did not want us in the first place.
Okay,
I
that's
honestly
connected.
didn't give the place another thought since hearing it close over a decade ago. I live, what, maybe 4 hours from Emerald Island, so I really only heard rumblings about it. I did not experience it firsthand. Then, I read this article from someone who explored the Treasure Island
Are
Resort
they
and posted a whole
real
blog about the crazy
until
shit they
they
found there. Stuff
feel
just
is all
left behind, things smashed, defaced, and probably ruined by the
just
disgruntled
inside
former
my
employees
head?
who had lost their jobs.
They're
Hell,
all
locals from all
inside
around
my
probably had a hand
head.
in wrecking the place.
It's
People
just
there just felt
inside
angry about
my.
the Treasure
They're
Island as
all
folk did here
inside
about
my.
Mowgli's palace.
They're all
Plus,
inside
there were rumors that
my.
Disney had released
I
their
see
aquarium
them always,
stock,
but
quote
they're
unquote,
all
into the local
inside
waters
my
when they closed,
head.
including
All
sharks.
inside
Who wouldn't want to take
my
a few swings
head.
at some merchandise after that?
All
Well,
inside
I'm getting
my
at this
head.
blog about the
It's
Treasure Island,
killing
and it's
me
got me thinking.
to see I'm
Even though many years have
killing
passed since its
you.
closing,
Death is
I figured it might be
magic,
cool to do some urban exploration
abracadabra
at Mowgli's
now.
palace and take some photos and write about my experience and
Evil
probably see if there was anything I could take as a
plan
memento.
gone.
I'm not going to say I wasted no
Sorry.
time getting there because honestly it took me about another year after I first found that Treasure Island article to get
3.
up going to Emerald Isle. After the course of a year,
I'm not
I
even
did a
listening to
lot
the
of
creepypasta
research on
anymore.
the
I'm just
palace
fucking
resort. Or
listening to
rather, I
myself,
tried
and
to.
there's a fucking black and white Mickey
Naturally,
Mouse
no official
on the
Disney
bottom
site
of my
or resource
screen.
made
I don't
any
like it
mention
staring
of
at
the
me.
place that had been,
What was the
well, at
last?
least that
Oh
hadn't been
fuck!
struck
What
clean.
was it? There was a
Even
creepypasta I listened
odder,
to that
however,
had like,
was that nobody before
I
myself
didn't
apparently
know, but it
thought to
just had
blog
like
about the place
automated
or
robotic
even
voice.
post a
It's in one of my
photo.
older streams, and it
None of
scared
the
the
local
ever loving
TV or
shit out of
newspaper
me.
sites had one word to say about the place,
Because I saw shit
though
moving on
that
the
was to
bottom of
be
my screen. I'm like,
expected
the
since they
fuck is
already had
that?
swung Disney's way anyway.
Does
They
this
wouldn't
move?
be out there lauding their embarrassment.
No, it does not. It does not move.
I recently
Does
learned
Mickey Mouse
that
have a fucking?
corporations can actually ask Google,
Never
for
mind.
example, to remove links from search results, basically for no good reason. Looking back, it's probably not that nobody spoke out against the resort, but rather
There's a
their words made
thumbnail for.
inaccessible.
There's a thumbnail
So
for a
in the end, I could barely
video
find the place.
called
All I had to
8
go on was an
disturbing
ISO
slash
map I received
controversial
back in
ads,
the
and just
90s.
has the Tribe
It was
12
a
logo.
promotional item
If you
sent
know
to
what Tribe
people
12
who had
is,
recently been to
you
Disney
are
World.
old.
And I guess being there in the late 80s
I'm
was
sorry.
considered
I
pretty
didn't have a joke there.
recent.
Just,
I didn't
Jesus
really
Christ.
intend to hang
You have
on
been
to
on the
it.
internet for a long
It
time.
just got shoved with my books and comics from my childhood. I'd only remembered it months into my research, and even
Okay,
then it
let's
took
see
me another few
here.
weeks to locate the
Is that
storage
the-
bin it was shoved into.
Oh,
But I did
no,
find
wait.
it.
That's blood.
Locals were no help.
Alright.
As most
Who wants
transplants
to go
were
around
just
and look
moved
for the
to beach in
spy?
recent years, or old residents who just sneered at me and made
Right behind you.
rude
And then
gestures.
fucking,
The
and then
second
fucking
I
creature just
managed
goes
to say, where can I find Mowgli's?
sprint down here.
The drive took me through
I would generally
the
scream.
incredibly long corridor
Is
of
that the
overgrowth tropical
voice?
plants that
Whatever.
had been rampant and overpopulated in the area mixed
What was
with
that
native
one
species of flora
creepypasta where it's
actually
like,
belonged there and had
was it?
tried to
What was that one
reclaim their land.
creepypasta? It was another Disney
I was
creepypasta.
in
It was
awe
called like
when I reached the front gates of
not
the
Channel
resort.
Zero. That's a
Tremendous
different thing.
monolithic wooden
But it was
gates
something
with supports
Zero,
on either side of the
and it talked
pavement
about how like there were
from
like
giant
secret
seagulls.
bunkers underneath
The gate itself
Disney
had
World
been gouged in
or
several places by
Disneyland,
woodpeckers and eaten
and
away at the
allegedly
base by
one
burrowing
day a
insects.
bunch of people just got
Hanging onto the
fucking
gate was a
locked
sheet of
in
metal,
there
some
and
red
never
strap
came out.
with hand-painted letters scrawled in black. Abandoned by Disney.
Abandoned
Clearly, the
by
candy
God.
wouldn't pass a
That's
local or
I remember
an
that from this.
employee who wanted to make a small protest. The gates opened enough to
Okay,
walk
let's
through,
see.
but not drive.
This
So
will
grabbing my
be
digital
2.
camera and map, whose flip side showed me the layout of the resort, I
Whoops.
set off on foot. The inner grounds of the place was just as overgrown as the entryway. A palm tree stood unattended with ragged piles of its own coconuts. Banana plants similarly stood in their own stinking, bug-riddled refuse. There was a sort of clash between order and chaos, as carefully planted rows of perennial flowers
I wanna
with
say that's
obnoxious
3,
small weeds
so I'll do
and
that.
stinking, blackened mushrooms remained.
There we go.
All that remained
And
of
this
any
is
outdoor structure, however,
this could be 5.
were
1,
broken,
2,
rotting
3,
wood, and
4,
various
5.
shards
Hey.
bits of
Oh, whoops,
unidentifiable
shit.
material. What
Fuck.
was most likely an
Turn that
information
off. Turn
booth
that off.
or an outdoor bar was now simply a pile of assorted
Oops.
debris chopped up by vandalism and ravaged by weather. The interesting thing on the
I
ground
hate
was
that
the
button.
statue of Baloo,
Also, I forgot to
the
turn
friendly
on
bear from the
streamer
Jungle
mode.
Book, which stood in a sort of courtyard in front of the main
Hang on.
building. He was frozen in a Java wave towards
You can
no
tell
one,
I'm very professional at
staring
this.
into an empty space with a silly, toothy
Also,
grin
why
as
does
bird
the
shit
setting
covered the
quick button
swaths of his
doesn't have
fur,
anything actually
and
useful
vines
on it?
ensnared his platform. I approached the main building, the palace, only to find the outside of the building was covered in graffiti where the original paint hadn't been peeled or chipped away. The front doors weren't open. In fact, they'd been taken off
There you
their
go, streamer mode.
hinges and were stolen. Above the doors, or the gaping maw where they had been, someone had yet again painted Abandoned by Disney. I wish I could tell you about
Abandoned
all
by
the
death.
awesome stuff I found inside the palace. Forgotten statues, abandoned cash registers, a full-fledged society of homeless bums. But no, the inside of the building was so stark, so bare, I actually think people had stolen the molding off the walls. Anything that was too big to steal, counters, desks, giant fake trees, they were all resting in this empty echo chamber that was amplified by my every step like a slow rat-a-tat of a machine gun. I checked the floor plan and headed to all the locations that might seem in
Okay,
any way interesting.
I'm just hugging this
The
wall
kitchen
here just to see
was,
where this
as you
comes
imagine,
out to.
an industrial food prep area with all the appliances and space. No expenses spared. Every
Do
glass
I know
surface
where
was
this
broken,
is?
every door kicked off its hinges, every metal surface
Oh,
kicked and
yeah, I do.
dented. The entire place even smelled like very, very old piss. The huge
Piss.
freezer, not even
I'm not
remotely
even
cool
paying
now,
attention.
had
And then the only thing I
no
heard
empty
out
shelf
of a
space.
while is
Hooks
piss.
hung from the ceiling, possibly for hanging cuts of meat. As I stood inside there for a moment, I noticed they were swinging. Each hook swung with a random direction, but their movements were slow and small, that it was almost impossible to
Okay,
see.
where is this?
I figured that had been caused by my footsteps, so I stopped one
Oh,
from swinging,
I'm here.
clutching it in my
Right.
fist, then carefully letting it go. But
Okay, let's
within
start
seconds, it
filling
started
this out.
swinging once more. The bathrooms were in the very much of the same state as the rest of the place, just like the Treasure Island Resort. Someone had methodically smashed every porcelain commode with coconuts and other implements. There was about half an inch of
This is actually supposed
rancid,
to be longer,
stinking, stagnant water on the
which
floor,
is
so it didn't
strange.
stay very long. What's odd is that the toilets and the sinks and the bidets in the ladies' room, yes, I went there,
I
all
could
dripped,
push it
leaked,
forward,
or just ran
closer
freely.
to the
It
wall,
seemed to me that they should have shut off the
because
water
this should
long,
really
long
be
ago.
in.
There was plenty of rooms in the resorts, but
Push this
naturally I
too.
didn't have time to look through all of them. The few I did peer into were similarly wrecked, and I didn't expect to find anything there. I thought there was actually a television or radio in one room, as I really
Well, I
think I
know
heard
for
a
a
quiet
fact
conversation coming out of one of them.
this is
Though it
supposed to
was
be
like a
pushed.
whisper, probably my own breathing echoing the
Whoops.
silence, or just another case of sound flowing off of the water playing tricks on the mind. This is what it sounded like. Person 1. I don't believe it. From person 2, there was a short, unknown reply. Back to person 1. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Back to person 2. Your father told you. Back to person 1. A unknown reply, or possibly just weeping. I know that sounds ridiculous. I'm just telling you what I experienced and why I thought there might have been something running up in that room, or worse, some vigilance who'd been holed up there who would have probably knifed me. At the front doors of the palace again, I figured I hadn't found anything of note and had wasted a trip up. As I looked at the door, I noticed something interesting in the courtyard I apparently had missed. Something that would give me at least one thing to show for all my trouble, even if it was just a photograph. There, as a lifelike statue of a python, might have been 80 feet long, coiled up and sunning itself on a pedestal to the right of the center area. It was almost time for the sun to start setting, so the light fell on the object in a perfect way for a photograph. So I approached the python and snapped a photo. Then I stood on my toes and snapped another, and moved closer again
Yeah, that
with
should
the
be right.
detail on space. Slowly, but casually, the python lifted his head and looked directly into my eyes, and turned and slithered off the pedestal across the grass into the trees. All 80 feet of it.
What?
Its head long disappeared into the woods before its tail left the sunning spot. Disney had released other exotic animals onto the ground. Right there on my floor plan map was the reptile house. I should have known. I read all about the sharks at Treasure Island, and I should have
Wait a
known they would
minute.
have done this. I was
Was the
dumbfounded.
creepypasta talking about
Just
this guy took a
utterly
picture of a
stupefied. My
python
mouth must have
statue,
been hanging
but it
open
wasn't
for
an
the
actual
longest time
python
before I
statue?
came
This is
back
just
down
the
to Earth
clown statue
and snapped it
scenario, but
shut. I
a
blinked a few times
python.
and backed away from where the snake had
You
been
guys know what
and back
the
towards the
clown statue
palace.
scenario is?
Even
It's where
though it was fully gone, I
a
still wasn't
babysitter
taking
is
any chances
babysitting,
and
and
backed my way
she goes
into
up
the
to
building.
like the
It took a
owner's
few deep
bedroom
breaths
because there's a
and
TV up
slaps of my
there,
own face
and she
against
calls
the
them
wall of
about
my head
like
again after that.
the parents call them about like, oh hey, how's everything going? Oh yeah, it's fine.
As my
And
legs
then
were
the
feeling
babysitter
a
asks,
bit
hey,
like jelly at
can
the
I
time.
move or
Of
can I
course,
move the
there
clown
was no
statue?
place to sit down
Can I
unless
move
I
the
was
clown
behind a
statue
broken
in your
glass
room
and a
because
big
it's
leaf carpet.
kind of
Or
fucking creeping
haul
me
it
out?
from
And they
up
say
the
we don't have a
gas
clown
which
statue.
had a questionable reliability. I had
What
seen
the
some stairs near the
fuck?
palace lobby and decided to go have a seat there until I felt better. The staircase was far enough away from the front of the building to be relatively clean, save for the startling amount of accumulation of dust. I
Okay,
pulled a wedge of
I
metal
definitely have
off
to
the wall,
shrink
once again
this
painted with
down
the
here because this is
"Abandon my
very
Disney"
fucking
motto
long.
I became so accustomed to. I
Even
placed the
this
wedge
here
on the
can be
stairs and
shrunk
sat
down,
on it
but I
to
would
keep
have
at
to
least
shrink
somewhat
that
clean.
and that
The
and
stairway led
then
downward to a
spawn
below
again,
ground level. Using my camera
maybe.
flash as some sort of improvised flashlight, I could see the staircase ended in a
Hang
metal
on.
mesh door with a padlock sign. A sign on the door, a real sign, read, "Mascots only, thank you."
Up.
This perked up my spirits a little bit, for two reasons. One, the mascots only area would have been definitely held some interesting stuff back in the day. Two, the padlock was still in its place. No one's gone down there, not vandals, not looters, nobody. This was the one place I could actually explore, and perhaps find something interesting to photograph, or warrant a steal. I had come to the palace essentially agreeing with myself with the fact that it was okay to take anything I wanted because,
I
well,
took
hey,
the wrong turn. Where am
abandoned,
I?
right? It didn't take much
Oh,
to bust the lock on the wall.
I just took the
Well, actually, that's
long
wrong.
way.
It didn't take much to burst the metal plate on the wall
Okay.
that the padlock was hooked to.
I don't know how I
Time
did that,
decay
but
had done
I
most
did
of
that.
the work for me, and I was able to bend the metal plate with enough
Okay,
force to pull the screws
spawn.
out of the wall. Something nobody
Majigger.
else had apparently thought of, or had been able to do at the time. The mascots only area was
Okay,
startling,
so if I push
but a
this,
very welcome change from the rest of the building I'd
this,
seen.
and then
For
all
one,
that,
every second or third
and
fluorescent light
I
was
don't know.
overheated, and was
That would have
illuminated,
to be
even
the
though they
same,
flickered
maybe.
and faded randomly. Also, nothing had been stolen, broken,
Unless,
even
like,
if age and exposure had definitely taken its toll. Tables had notepads and pens. There were clocks, and even a punch-in clock on the wall, complete with filled-out time cards. Chairs were scattered around, and there was even a small
I shouldn't
break
be
room with
singing.
an old static-filled television, and a long rotted-out food and drink on the counters. It was like one of those post-apocalyptic movies where everything was left in a state of evacuation. As I walked the maze-like
Yeah,
sub-basement
that
hallways
is
of the
two.
mascot-only
I would say
area,
that is
the
two.
sights became
If I could
more
make it
interesting
one
as I
just
went
in
further.
case, so I
Desks
can
and
move
tables were
everything
knocked
over.
papers scattered, almost melded into the damp floor, and a large carpet of mold was slowly overtaking the real, rotting, crimson floor coverings. Everything was sort of squishy. Anything wood degenerated into a mush when I applied even the littlest amount of force, and clothing items hanging on hooks in one of the rooms simply fell into moist threads if I tried to unhook them. The one thing that annoyed me was that light that became more and more sparse and unreliable as I went further into the dark, scoffing depths of the palace. Eventually, I reached a black and yellow striped door with the words Character Prep 1 stenciled on it. The door wouldn't even open at first. I figured that this was probably where the costumes were kept, and I definitely wanted a photograph of the twisted, stinking mess. Try as I
Five Nights
might,
at Freddy's.
however, the angle or trick I tried at first did not work.
Yeah,
The
this
door
is
wouldn't
just a
budge.
regular.
It just simply wouldn't give in. That's until I gave up and started to walk away.
I'll say this is two.
That's when there was a slight popping sound, and the door creaked open slowly. Inside, the room was completely dark, pitch black. I used the camera flash to look for a light switch in the wall by the door, but there was nothing. As I made my search, I was jarred out of my sense of excitement by a loud electrical buzz. Rows of lights overhead suddenly flashed life, flickering and fading out like
Run.
the rest I passed.
You gotta
It
run,
took
dude.
a second for my eyes to adjust, but it just seemed like the light was just going to keep on getting brighter until all the bulbs exploded. But
Kabee.
just when I thought it would reach a critical stage, the light dimmed a bit and steadied. The room was exactly as I pictured it. Various Disney costumes hung on walls, fully
Shit.
put together like a strange cartoon cadaver, which hung from invisible nooses.
Okay, yeah, this definitely has
There
to be
was
pushed
an
in.
entire rack of loincloths and native clothes on hangers towards the back. What I found
the fucking-
odd, and what I wanted to photograph right away, was the Mickey Mouse costume at the center of the room. Unlike the other costumes, it was laying on its back in the center of the floor like a murder victim. The fur of the costume was rotten and shredding, creating bare patches. What was even odder, however, was the coloring of the costume. It was like a photo negative of the actual Mickey. Black where the white should be, and white where the black should be. His normally red overalls were also only light blue. The sight was off-putting enough that I actually put off photographing the thing until the last. I took a picture of the costumes hanging on the walls. Upward angles, downward angles, side shots to show the entire row of frozen, putrid cartoon faces, some plastic eyes missing. Then I decided to stage a shot, just one of the bedraggled character heads on a slick, grimy floor. I reached for the headpiece of the Donald Duck costume and carefully moved it so the thing wouldn't fall apart in my hands. As I looked into the face of the wide-eyed, moldering head,
It
a
smiled.
loud cluttering sound made me jump with fright. I looked down at my feet, and between my shoes was a human skull. It had
Bitch.
fallen out of the mascot's head and shattered into pieces at my feet. The only empty
Run.
face and lower jaw remained, staring up at me.
Gotta run.
I dropped the Donald Duck head immediately, and as you expect, I moved away for the door. As I stood in the doorway, I looked back to the skull on the floor. I had a picture of it, you know. I had, for a number of reasons that may seem silly, but
Oh, this is
only
music from Silent
don't
Hill.
think.
I recognize it.
through. I needed proof of what happened.
Oh,
Especially Disney
would you
was
call
just
this
gonna
music?
somehow make this go away. I had no doubt
I
in
would.
my mind right from the start. that
I
even if
call
was
this
gross
music.
negligence,
This is
Disney
soothing
was
to me.
responsible for this. That's when Mickey, that photo negative obstinate
That
Mickey,
photo
in the middle of the
negative
floor,
Mickey
started to
got
get
up and
Reverse
fucking.
Mickey. Sado Freedomist. Added by a Sado Freedomist.
What?
First sitting up, then climbing onto his feet. The Mickey Mouse costume, or whoever was inside of it, stood in the center of the room. It's just a fake face staring at me.
Doing just a
as
little
I
trolling.
mumbled, No. Over and over and over again with shaking hands, a violently thrashing heart, and legs that once again turned into jelly and managed
Punched
lift
him
the
so
camera
hard he
aim
exploded.
it at the opposite creature, now quietly sizing me up. The digital camera screen displayed only dead pictures in the shape of the thing. It was a perfect silhouette of the Mickey Mouse costume. As the camera moved in my unsteady hands, the dead pixels spread, mirroring the screen where Mickey's outline moved to. Then, the camera died and went blank and quiet, broken. I raised my eyes once again to the Mickey Mouse costume. Hey! It said in a hushed, perverted, but perfectly executed Mickey Mouse voice. Wanna see
My
my
head.
come off?
You wanna see my head come up?
Started to pull
You
his
kids
neck,
like
working
Mexico.
its clumsily gloved fingers around his neck with a clawing, impatient movement similar to the wounded man trying to pull himself free of the predator's jaws. It worked its digits into its net. So much. So much blood. So much thick.
Chunky.
yellow blood. I turned away as I heard a sickening tearing of cloth and flesh, only cared about getting away. Above the doorway out of the room, I saw one final message, clawed with bone or fingernails. Abandoned. By God.
The
I
end.
never got the pictures out of my camera. I never wrote the blog entry about it again.
There's still a picture of Mickey Mouse just holding a selfie phone. Or a phone. Fucking selfie phone. What else? Also, I'm fucking up the map, I know that. Oh, Ronald McDonald House, that's a good one. Let's look for something. Excuse me. Oh. Let's see. Okay, didn't need to know that. I just heard my name broadcast on a number station. The Machine. That's not creepypasta. Mr. Incredible becomes uncanny, disturbing facts. Okay, fucking fuck off. Mr. Incredible becomes uncanny. Let's see here. I want a creepypasta that is longer than 5 years old. Oh, fuck, I don't need to know that again. Save me from mech tonight. Oh god, no. Getting copyright struck because I'm singing a song that will get me struck. Cold sky. Hmm. 11 days, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, blue month. I don't need to know that. Let's see. Don't let this video end. Well, I'm not gonna start it. So it's Schrodinger's video. Motherfucker. The sun is not a star. It is a burning ball of gas. That is not a star. It is an eldritch horror moon. Haunted. I investigate the paranormal for U.S. government. I discovered something disturbing. And it's a picture of a goddamn ODST. A tape from Treasure Island. And it shows a busted ass Five Nights at Freddy's. What the rain brought. I worked as a pizza delivery man, and I made a delivery to the back rooms. Hang on. Where's my pizza? Hello? Where the fuck is my pizza? Oh, that's a creepy freaky. Creepy freaky. 4 years ago, I think my 10-year-old daughter's killing. Okay, no. Skeleton War. There's a war raging under Earth. Humanity is losing. Yeah, and it shows skeletons shooting M16s. Skeleton War. Should I just do this? Nah, I'll keep it on this. Let's see here. Summer solstice ritual 5 months ago. No. I remember I was listening to one. A warning from 60 years in the future. No. Boring. I want like classic creepypastas. a very special Friendsgiving. I don't even know what that is. It's not old enough though. I thought nothing could scare me. Something ever scares. Oh yeah, all your beds belong to. All your beds belong to us. The Human Detachment Project, 3 years ago. Okay, give me videos. I know, I know. There's an easy way to look for videos. I know there is a way to look for video. If you ever go hiking at night, don't fall asleep. And it's just a picture of Slenderman outside of a tent. There's something in the deep woods of northern Sweden. Oh, it's 1 year old. Okay, I kind of want to read this one because Swedish, because I find that funny. Okay, it's 1 year old. How old is 1 year? 2021. Okay, and it was created May 2021.
I went to a garage sale in my local town a few days ago.
Oh, this guy sounds
I
familiar.
live in Sweden, and so secondhand shops and car boot sales are very common, at least out in the countryside. Often, I just end up browsing the
Where
stalls
am I?
without really intending to buy anything.
I got lost again. Fuck.
The one that I visited a few days ago was in a village
I saw
about
that.
a half-hour's drive from where I live.
I'm gonna go this way then.
The secondhand store was just literally one room, packed with all sorts of riffraff.
Okay, I recognize that.
That should have been thrown away ages ago.
Oh, I recognize where I am.
Rather than being sold for far more than what it was worth. On my way out, something caught my eye that I couldn't resist taking a closer look at. It was a history book about the local area, and because I had recently moved here for work, I got curious and decided to buy it.
I'm up here.
Inside were a few loose papers,
Let's see.
notes which took some time to decipher.
I should
due to the fading
push
of the ink.
everything down.
I don't know who it
At least
belongs
down
to, or if
here.
the story on the pages were even true. But I thought
running
maybe
out of
you guys
room.
would be interested in hearing about
I'll
it.
do that.
Before I begin, I need to be honest with you.
I'm not
You see,
Swedish.
the thing
I'm gonna be
is
honest with
that
you.
this story
I am not
isn't mine to
Swedish.
share,
I am not a
but I feel
badass.
like I have to. I've spent too many years feeling guilt pressing against my chest, and if I don't tell you now, it'll go with me to my grave, and I would like to leave this life with a clear conscience. Another thing you need to know is that I've changed some details such as the names of those involved, and the locations just to allow them some privacy. I apologize if I seem a little cryptic, and I don't mean to sound like one of those conspiracy theorists, but you'll understand. I promise. Some of you reading this might
You
have
guys know the
friends that are
creepypasta
wrong,
of the penis monster?
or maybe you're still
that
deciding
real?
whether or not
It's the
parenthood is for you.
penis No, it's not the penis
I just
monster.
wanna
It's the
tell you
penis
this.
monkey.
I am so
Is it
sorry.
real? I don't know.
Anyway, I guess
Fuck.
I should start at the beginning. My name is unimportant, but to make it easier for you, let's just call me Edwin. Ever since I was a kid, I loved making up stories. By the time I started school and I learned to write, it was almost impossible to make me stop. Back then, there were no
Okay, this
smartphones,
has to
computers, or iPads,
shrink.
or what have you. The only thing we had was a good old pen and paper. Soon enough, Swedish became the subject that I excelled in, and my grades were always high. One of my teachers used to say that I had been born with the gift of words. I could look around me and transform my surroundings into fantastical adventures. It was a way for me to cope with the repetitiveness and mundane nature of daily life. To that end, I feel it's important for you to understand that I have never been a city person, and I'm not the only one. You see, my family comes from northern Sweden, an area known locally as Tornedalen. When I say north, I mean
Never
way
mind.
above the Arctic Circle. in the middle of little nowhere surrounded by forest and mountains. My old man grew up in a minuscule village in the northernmost part of Tornedalen, on either side of the rippling waters of Torn River, and an hour's drive from Curina. Dad grew up in a small homestead with 4 older brothers and my late grandmother, who to this day is the kindest woman that I've ever known. I never met my grandfather, as he passed away when my dad was 16 years old. And so, my grandmother was forced to raise 5 boys all alone, while running a small grocery store. There wasn't much
Okay,
Grandma
move
couldn't
that
handle,
up a bit.
and God help anyone who dare to challenge her. And during the first few years of my life, I lived in that homestead with my family. I attended school in the local village and I liked it well enough. If you've never lived in the countryside, it's almost impossible to convey the freedom of living so far away from the city. Summer months were spent exploring every single path, stream, or hunting cabin with my friends. The eternal light from the midnight sun turned the whole world into a playground, and we would stay awake until we simply were too tired to keep our eyes open. In those days, parents didn't care as much about their kids' whereabouts, so long as you were home for supper. During the winter months, we used snowshoes to get around in the woods, which were now covered by
Very
a thick
long.
blanket of white, powdery snow. If you were lucky and it was cold enough, you might catch a glimpse of the green shimmer from the northern light dancing on the sky. I remember my grandmother once telling me that according to folklore, people believed the lights were souls dancing on their way to the afterlife. At some point in the 60s, Dad and I moved to Stockholm where there were better job opportunities. We both missed living in the north, and so every school holiday was spent in the small village by the river.
You can move that over
We
by
would spend
1.
those holidays fishing, both
Or can
ice
I?
and normal fishing,
I
hiking
don't
trips,
think
and
I
overnight
can.
stays
Shit.
in old hunting cabins.
Well, I could extend this
Some of my
if I
fondest
wanted to.
memories from those days were when we followed old ski tracks, placed reindeer skins in the snow, and then lay there for hours enjoying the warm sunlight of early spring. We often sat in comfortable silence, without feeling the need to say much. But sometimes, just as the first colors of twilight appeared, Dad would tell me ghost stories, even though I was way too young. Summer holidays seemed endless, and I often explored every single corner of the village with my old friends. Sometimes we would set up tents in some secluded meadow and retell those ghost stories first shared by our parents. I wish I could tell you that I continued visiting the village in my teenage years, but with all the things brought on with puberty and when I eventually started university, the year that I
It's a
turned
very
19,
small.
I had almost forgotten all about the little village up north. And when it comes to my mom, there is not much to say. She's never been a part of my life, and I learned early on that there is no point asking questions about her. My only memory of her is a vague scent of lavender, which she had used as perfume. If I'm completely honest, I'm not even sure that I know her name. And that's probably why Dad sounded so surprised when I offered to travel up for Easter during my second year at university. Even now, I'm not sure why I was so keen to go. But when I heard that my uncle hadn't been seen for a few days, I just knew something was wrong. And Dad couldn't go because he was tied up with work, and none of the other brothers had a very great relationship with my uncle, because they thought he was a little more eccentric than what was socially acceptable. In their defense, they weren't wrong,
What?
but they also rarely spoke about him, and just like my mother, I learned to simply not ask questions. My Uncle H was Dad's oldest brother who, a few years ago, decided to move back to their childhood home. He had grown tired of city life and missed the tranquility and silence of the far north. Dad always said that when you get older, you get this yearning to go back to your roots. Honestly, I can't remember a single Saturday morning when Uncle H didn't phone us to talk about the latest gossip in the village. Now, before I continue, I feel like I have to explain what winter is like in the north, because I honestly don't think you can understand it unless you've experienced it yourself. Imagine waking up in the morning and it's so eerily silent that not even the birds who sometimes stay over winter are awake. It is so bone-crushingly cold that when it hits you, it's as if thousands of sharp needles are piercing into your skin all at once. Not only can you see your breath, you can practically touch it. And then there's sun, which doesn't rise until late in the day, and only stays up for a couple of hours before, making its all-too-quick descent behind the horizon. I began my journey on the day before Maudie Thursday, when I flew from my small university town to the north, where I met up with one of my childhood friends whose car I was borrowing to drive to the village. The moment that I stepped in through the front door with its familiar squeaky hinges, my childhood memories instantly came flooding back. I could almost smell Grant's freshly baked bread and warm laughter echoing through the hallway. 2 empty coffee cups stood on the kitchen table, and a half-eaten cinnamon bun, which is practically societal hearsay in Sweden. Other than some dried reindeer meat, a loaf of bread, and half a liter of milk, the fridge was depressingly empty. Maybe Uncle H was in a rush somewhere and hadn't been able to buy groceries. It was still strange and not like him to tell anyone where he was headed. At that point, I realized that it was both too late and too dark to go out and look for Uncle H. Not to mention, the nights were even more freezing than during the day. And to be completely honest, I had no idea where to begin my search. Besides, if I spent the next few days with the house as my base of operations, my first priority was to make sure that I didn't freeze to death inside. I spent most of that evening cranking up the heat in the fireplace and making myself comfortable in the lounge. City life, I realized, had spoiled me with its modernities like electric heating and the simplicity of life above the Arctic Circle. It was almost forgotten to me. Even though the house was a more than familiar part of my life, I still felt like a stranger here. An eerie feeling lingered in the air that I couldn't quite describe. The closest thing that I can think of is that it felt as though I was trespassing. Maybe it was the general fatigue of the journey here, or my worry over Uncle H's disappearance catching up to me. To silence my worrying mind, I decided to plan what tomorrow would look like. Many of the families from my childhood still lived in the village, and I thought that perhaps one of them had seen my uncle over the past few days. An angry and hungry growl came from my stomach, and I quickly made a sandwich with smoked sausage, which I devoured with a glass of cold milk. I thanked my past self for packing an extra duvet in the car, because I was convinced that whatever bedding remained in the old wardrobes were covered in damp and likely partially eaten by moth larvae, burying themselves into the fabric. Nevertheless, I made myself comfortable in the old sofa bed, and finally began to feel more at peace as I stared into the fire,
Okay, that's the
myself being
difference
hypnotized by the hot
right
glowing
there.
embers and the dancing flames. Just before my eyelids became too heavy to stay open, I thought I heard a vague buzzing sound just outside, almost as if there were voices creating a melody traveling with the wind. I was awoken at 4 o'clock in the morning by the deafening bell of my grandfather clock in the kitchen. Cursing myself for forgetting its loudness, I decided there was no point in going back to sleep. So I made myself a cup of coffee and flicked through an old local newspaper. I'm not sure what made me look out the window, but I almost choked on the coffee when I saw a crouching silhouette on the edge of the forest, trudging through the snow towards the house. And my heart began to race when I realized that I had nothing to defend myself with, and if I did, what was I going to do? It was only when the figure got closer to the house that I recognized the more distinct features of the shape. It was my uncle. Without even putting on my shoes, I ran out to him. He was limping as though he had been injured, but he still carried a rifle in one hand, but his jacket was covered in blood. Even though he looked right at me, the look in his eyes was still distant. What the heck happened? I asked, but my uncle only muttered something in Finnish that I couldn't understand. There was no need for a doctor to tell me that he was in shock. Come on, I said to him. Let's go inside. What the hell, boy? He cursed. What are you doing here? Don't tell me your father sent you. I explained that when nobody had heard from him, Dad got worried and I offered to come up here. As soon as we got inside, I lit the stove to make more coffee and then recalled seeing half a bottle of vodka in the pantry, which I put on the table along with a glass next to it. But my uncle drank directly from the bottle. A few moments later, I poured 2 cups of strong black coffee, and for a while we just sat there in silence. I wondered if I should call an ambulance, but then my uncle told me what had happened to him. Uncle H explained that he had been visiting a relative on the other side of the river,
Okay, this
and
needs to be
as per
pushed
usual,
down.
it got a little later than planned.
Pushing
some
that down
point
means I
in the
gotta
middle of
push
the
down
night,
all this,
He decided to make his way home through
which
the
is
woods
going to
like
be a
he did so
pain.
often.
Because I remember
Snowshoes made it easy to make his way across
you
the
can't fuck
massive
with
amounts of
this.
snow
I've
covering the
tried
ground,
fucking with this, and you
and
just
whatever
can't.
alcohol remained in his system,
All
it
of
kept
this
him
is
warm.
in its place already.
Even though my uncle had trekked through those woods ever since he was a little boy, a strong feeling of unease crept up his back. It made the hair stand on the back of his neck. By the light of the moon, he thought there were shadows moving towards him, accompanied by a strange buzzing sound in the
I
wind.
could. There is
And
one
then
way
he
I
saw
could
them.
not make it that
Dozens,
fuck with.
if not
I can
hundreds of
push
children
all this
whose
up,
faces were
but
unnaturally
have this
pale,
still be as
and their eyes
that.
were entirely hollow. The creatures dragged themselves up from the snow and made the most unnatural sound my uncle had ever heard. It was deafening and heartbreaking all at the same time, and he was overcome by emotions that he could not name. A bony hand grabbed his ankle, and another opened their mouth, which turned into a massive, gaping black hole. My uncle told me that he had never run so fast in his life. Uncle Age didn't say much the next day. Mostly, he just wondered how long I was planning to stay, and when I told him that I would be around for a few days, he seemed pleased that he wouldn't be alone over Easter. However, when I told him that I was going to call my dad to let him know that everything was alright, my uncle made me swear to not recount what he had told me. He said that it was probably for the better if it stayed between us, seeing as the rest of our family already thought of him as a little strange. I gave him my word, and so when Dad wondered what had happened, I simply told him that my uncle got lost in the forest on his way home. Dad muttered something about stubborn old men, but didn't ask any more questions. After I hung up, I turned to my uncle, who sat by the kitchen table and stared out the window. My mouth hung open as I struggled to form the words, even though the questions were clear in my mind. I know you don't believe me, boy, my uncle said, as if he had read my mind. But surely you've heard the stories. Those about people who get lost in the woods and never make it back because they've been taken by the Myling. I wish I understood what he meant, but then a vague memory resurfaced somewhere in the back of my mind. Uncle H nodded at the chair and I sat down, nervous about what I was going to hear. A part of me didn't want to dismiss his experience, but I didn't believe in ghosts and ghouls. And then he told me something that, to this day, I wish I had never heard. When Uncle H's dad and their brothers were younger, they often traveled to the neighboring village on Saturdays to attend barn dances. Sometimes girls from larger cities would attend the dances, and if you were lucky, you might get a dance, a phone number, and to promise to meet again. That's where Dad saw her for the first time. Uncle H said that if there was ever a moment where he believed in love at first sight, that was it. He recalled exactly how the look in Dad's eyes changed, and when my uncle followed Dad's gaze, he noticed a girl that he'd never seen there before. Her long, blonde and curly hair glimmered in the light, and she wore a green, knee-length dress. Uncle H thought that she might have been there with some friends, but she was standing away from other girls as if she was avoiding them. After a while, Dad eventually plucked up the courage to speak with her, and when they danced, he was enchanted. Afterwards, everything happened so quickly, and the only thing Dad would talk about was his new love. My Uncle H explained that he and the other brothers just assumed it was yet another crush that would fade like it always did. But this time, they were wrong. Uncle H told me that my mother loved my father as much as he loved her, but she was carrying a terrible secret. In small communities like the ones up north, rumor spreads like wildfire. And keeping anything to yourself is pretty much impossible. And my mom
Is
knew
that
she
the
didn't
radio?
have much time.
I think that's the
Being
radio I
pregnant
threw.
with a child that wasn't my dad's and that was born in secret can make life incredibly difficult for a family. My dad would have struggled to find decent work, with which he could support his new family. So, after the birth of my half-sibling, my mom knew what she had to do. It's not difficult to hike into the forest and bury a child so that nobody finds out about it. Women in these parts have been doing that for hundreds, if not thousands of years. Who knows how many unloved and illegitimate children are buried in the woods of the north.
I'm not paying attention to the
On the
story. What is this
surface,
about
my
burying
parents had
children
a
in the
happy
woods?
marriage, and a year after their wedding,
I don't know.
I was born. According to my uncle, Dad had never been as happy as the first time he held me in his arms, just as enchanted as the first time he saw my mom. There was never any doubt that my mom loved me with her whole heart, but Uncle H also knew that she still carried with her the grief of burying her first child. You could see it in her eyes, and how she sometimes stared out the window into the forest. One late winter's night, she never came home. My dad was hysterical and looked everywhere without any result. The whole village made a joint effort to find her, and after a few hours, her body was found in the woods. The strange thing was, instead of being frozen, it was almost completely charcoaled, as if it had been devoured by an unnatural fire. The worst part of it all, though, was the shape of what once had been a child in the body's arms. My dad never spoke about what happened. He never met another woman, even though Uncle H and the others told him to move on with his life, and get married again, and give me a chance to grow up with a mother. Dad refused and moved far away from the village in the north, to the
I'm
seas
gonna have
of
to
the south where he
scrunch
could hide his grief
all this down.
in the exhaust fumes and sweat from the ever-growing masses of the city, far,
Which is
far
gonna be
away
a
from
pain.
the woods of the north.
So I might just leave that for
I'm
now
writing this
because it's
down
already
out of
been
pure
an hour and a half
selfishness to
working
ease
on
the
this.
burden that's been weighing on my heart for years.
And I felt like I haven't got anything
Most of you
done.
won't believe me, and that's fair enough, I suppose.
And because yet again,
My
my
cousins
map
remain
is just
blissfully ignorant
not
of my family
corrected
secret.
or not correct.
These days, they have kids and even grandkids. Sometimes, just like I did when I was younger, they spend
Alright,
school
I'm
holidays
gonna
in
switch
the
to,
village in the
to
north.
some music. Let's
I can't
creepypastas.
help but wonder if sometimes they might have heard that same melodic buzzing in the wind just before going to bed at night.
Why did I? Whoops. I accidentally typed in the wrong game. Whatever. This is the wrong music. Fuck. Wrong music. I'll work with it. Fuck it. I'll work with it. Alright. I think I'll call it an hour and a half. Very small stream, but my brain just can't wrap its head around this at the moment because I just gotta move so much shit. It's just annoying me more than anything. Because this is supposed to be up there, and this is supposed to be down there, and it's just, oh god. And then running out of room somehow at the same time, but also being too far away. This should be moved down this whole bit here, which is a lot to move, and a lot to fucking move. Alright. Did I save? Yeah, I saved. Alright, I'll call it here then. Alright, to anyone who isn't a bot in here, I didn't really talk that much this time around, and I'm surprised I went for an hour and a half. I'm surprised I went that long. But yeah, to anyone who comes across this video, because this livestream had nobody, I hope you enjoyed. I'm hoping to play... Oh, song end. Okay. I'm just gonna play something else. Let's play some music that I play too much. Just as some background stuff. I should play more games. I don't map out the backrooms as much as I think, but every time I do it, it's just a pain to do it, because I'm not good at making maps. I'm doing this by eye, and it's just hard. Like, really hard. Like, I feel like there's a way I could download a client, fly up a map, look at the geometry, I could download the map from the local cache and look at it that way and copy it. But I don't know, there's something just fascinating about doing it all by scratch. And even though the backrooms isn't as popular as it is what it used to be when I started this, I would still, like, even if the backrooms like returns to not mediocrity, but just not popular anymore, I would still want to finish this, even if it takes like God knows how long to finish this. Just because I started it, I want to finish it, because I have a tendency of never following up on shit I post on the internet. So yeah, anyone who comes across this, I hope you enjoyed this. I don't know how, but I hope you did. Yeah, peace out. Bye.